Have you ever felt like someone's ego is towering over every interaction, controlling the room, and even dictating your emotions? What if I told you there are subtle, almost invisible ways to dismantle that ego without uttering a single insult? Today we're diving into the 7 secret psychological tactics to disarm and destroy a woman's ego. But be warned, these strategies demand precision and restraint. Done wrong, they can backfire spectacularly. So stick with me till the end for the full playbook and a surprising twist. Subscribe to the channel, it's free. Number 1. Subtle non-validation. Subtle non-validation is a psychological tactic that works by denying the ego the validation it craves. It's about not feeding into someone's need for constant approval or attention, particularly when they are seeking it overtly. This doesn't mean being rude or dismissive. It's about carefully navigating interactions in a way that keeps the ego in check. Ego thrives on acknowledgement and praise. For example, she mentions how everyone at the party admired her outfit or how much effort she put into her appearance, clearly fishing for compliments. Expected response: "You look amazing. Everyone must have been so impressed." Subtle non-validation response: "That's nice," or "Good to hear you had a great time." Then, pivot the conversation to a neutral topic, like asking about the music or food at the event. By not giving her the expected praise, you subtly communicate that her appearance or others' opinions don't define the value of your interaction. The ego expects validation as a reward for specific actions or behaviors. When that reward doesn't come, it disrupts the pattern. Think of subtle non-validation like seasoning a dish. A pinch can add intrigue and depth, but too much will ruin the flavor. Speaking of finesse, it's like cooking eggs. Underdo it, and it's raw. Overdo it, and you've got a rubbery mess. No one wants a rubbery ego scramble. Now, withholding validation is just one. What happens when you want to take it up a notch? That's where the next secret comes in. Number 2. Strategic ignorance. Strategic ignorance involves intentionally choosing to overlook certain behaviors, statements, or provocations that feed a person's ego. This doesn't mean acting clueless. It means choosing what to ignore and when. Whether positive or negative, any form of attention can validate the ego. Ignoring it leaves the ego unfulfilled. For example, she tells an elaborate story about how she handled a situation flawlessly, expecting admiration or envy. Expected response: "Wow, that's amazing. You're incredible." Strategic ignorance response: reply with a neutral interesting, or "that's nice." Her ego doesn't get the anticipated validation. Instead, the conversation moves on, leaving her accomplishment unacknowledged. Your tone should remain calm and neutral, neither defensive nor dismissive. Strategic ignorance is like having selective hearing at a noisy party. You hear the music and ignore the chatter that doesn't matter. But what if the ego fights back? That's when you deploy our 3rd strategy, which flips the script entirely. Number 3. Mastering emotional equanimity. Emotional equanimity is the ability to maintain composure and calmness, especially in emotionally charged situations. It involves resisting the urge to react impulsively to provocations, instead choosing deliberate and measured responses. For example, she points out a personal flaw, perhaps in your appearance, behavior, or decisions, with the intent to get a rise out of you. Typical reaction: defending yourself, explaining, or counterattacking. Emotional equanimity response: calmly say, "That's an interesting perspective," or "I'll think about that." Maintain a relaxed tone and neutral facial expression. By not reacting emotionally, you remove the satisfaction she might derive from provoking you. It also subtly signals self-assurance, as if her words hold no power over you. Take a deep breath or a brief moment to process before responding. Emotional equanimity is like being a Zen master in a world full of drama queens. While they're storming the castle, you're sipping tea in the courtyard, unbothered by the chaos. Now that you've mastered control over your own reactions, let's look at how to turn her confidence into self-reflection. Number 4. Tactical questioning. Tactical questioning involves using thought-provoking questions to challenge assumptions and subtly influence the other person's mindset. This approach is powerful because it encourages introspection and self-reflection without direct confrontation. For example, she claims, "I always know the right decision in any situation." Typical reaction: disagreeing or pointing out instances where she was wrong. Tactical questioning response: "That's impressive. How do you handle it when things don't go as planned?" The question gently introduces doubt and encourages her to think about scenarios where her judgment might not be perfect without directly opposing her claim. When you ask these questions, you're effectively planting seeds of doubt which can sprout into self-awareness or discomfort over time. And here's the kicker: people rarely realize you're doing it. But what happens when questions aren't enough to shake things up? Let's explore the fifth strategy that takes control of the entire dynamic. Number 5. Reframing the narrative. Reframing the narrative is a psychological technique that involves shifting the perspective of a story or situation to change its emotional impact. When applied to dismantling ego, it means subtly redirecting the focus from the person's self-centered viewpoint to a broader, less ego-driven context. By altering how the situation is perceived, you can neutralize arrogance, entitlement, or defensiveness. Reframing shifts the focus away from personal validation, encouraging humility and a broader understanding. For example, she boasts about being the smartest person in a group, implying others are inferior. Typical reaction: arguing or pointing out flaws in her claim. Reframing response: "You must really value intelligence. How do you think others in the group contribute in ways that complement your strengths?" This reframes the conversation from her being the best to seeing the value in others subtly, encouraging humility without direct criticism. Now that you're reshaping narratives, how do you address her perception of you? That's where our sixth point changes the game. Number 6. Silent confidence. Silent confidence is the unshakable self-assurance that doesn't rely on verbal validation, external approval, or excessive demonstration. It's the kind of confidence that radiates through your actions, body language, and overall demeanor, making it impossible for anyone, including someone with an inflated ego, to challenge it. Silent confidence denies the other person the satisfaction of triggering you or gaining your approval. For example, she brags about her latest achievement, fishing for compliments or a reaction. Typical reaction: congratulating her excessively or competing with your own accomplishment. Silent confidence response: simply nod and say nice with a calm tone and slight smile. Then move the conversation forward without dwelling on it. Your lack of overreaction communicates that you're not easily impressed, subtly shifting the power dynamic in your favor. But what if her ego tries to dominate your silent confidence? Our final tactic will ensure you remain one step ahead. Number 7. Controlled scarcity. Finally, master controlled scarcity. This is about being less available and creating space in interactions. When you're not always there, her ego is forced to reconcile with your absence, amplifying your value and diminishing her need for control. By combining these 7 secrets, from withholding validation to controlled scarcity, you gain the tools to subtly dismantle an inflated ego while maintaining respect and composure. Narrative: these tactics aren't about breaking someone down, but about leveling the playing field. Use them wisely. If you want to explore the other side of the coin, the genuine emotions and actions women display when they truly care, check out our next video, 7 Things Women Do When They Genuinely Love You. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Your support helps YouTube recommend this content to more men who need to hear this message.